to another episode of the Total R&B Podcast. My name is Loreena, and today I'm joined again by Amani Roberts, who is an entrepreneur, a DJ, an educator, an author, and a champion of R&B music and R&B culture. His latest book, The Quiet Storm, a historical and cultural analysis of the power, passion, and pain of R&B groups, takes us through decades of music, starting in the 1950s with Billy Ward and the Dominoes, all the way down to the 2000s with Outkast. So what began as just a graduate thesis at Berklee College became a powerful cultural archive. So welcome back, Amani. Thank you for being here on the podcast.
Thank you for having me again, Loreena. I'm excited to chat with you, so I appreciate it. Let's go.
Oh, of course. So like I was saying, this covers so many groups, and I was jumping around to like my favorite eras, but then I was learning about groups that I had no clue existed. Starting with someone like I mentioned before, Billy Ward and the Dominoes, and then figuring out that Jackie Wilson was a part of it because I just knew him as a solo artist. So I just thought it was so cool. But how did you choose like which groups are being put into the book, and then also too you have like an honorable mentions part, so like
Yeah.
how did you divide that as well? That's tough.
Yes, good call. So the criteria was four things. It was Billboard Hot 100 hits, Grammy nominations and wins, total record sales, and then notable performances. Those are the four criteria that we used. As you get into the 50s, the Grammys weren't really around till the late 50s, so you kind of had to use other criteria, not really other criteria, just put more emphasis on popularity, record sales, and then notable performances. I included notable performances because for all the 50s and all the 60s and even early into the 1970s, it wasn't very common for an R&B group to be on like The Tonight Show or to be on like some of these other big shows or perform at the Kennedy Center. So that's why they got more quote unquote points for having notable performances.
Got it. Okay, well there's a lot in there, and like I said, I'm still going through the book. I'm still going back and reading things. But another interesting thing was Outkast. When I was
Yes.
flipping through and I saw Outkast there, I was like, wait, why did he include Outkast? It's the last group that's in there. But if you want to elaborate on why you chose to put them in, because they're seen as hip hop, even though they have a lot of different elements in their music.
Yeah, they're seen as hip hop. I think I specifically address Outkast in like some of the research analysis, but really they evolved from hip hop to more like they were kind of blurring the lines between hip hop and R&B. But on purpose, I kept them there because that shows you just how R&B groups evolved and really kind of went away, and they were kind of like the last one that even touched a little bit of R&B. So on purpose, I put them there because they had a lot of R&B elements. They had some R&B songs, especially as they got later in their career. And it just kind of shows you just how the genre evolved, so that really Outkast was the last one kind of standing after Destiny's Child went solo. And even when they were the last one standing, they're not really technically R&B, but they can qualify. But I put them in there on purpose for that reason, just so you can show people like this is where we are.
Mm-hmm. Okay, no,
So,
I get that. But at first I was like, wait, what's happening
yeah.
here? But I knew there was like a reason behind it,
Mhm.
which is
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
good. And being that this is giving so much information and so much history, was it difficult finding accurate information on groups, especially the older groups from like maybe the 50s and 60s?
Yes, it was very difficult. It took an extra, I want to say 6 weeks in the writing process to get everything fact checked. Even now, there's sometimes you might find there's a couple things maybe that aren't wrong, but this need to be added. It was very hard, particularly for the groups in the 50s. You had to like look at old videos, read old articles, read books, and you can't really use like the internet or AI because some of that information is not completely accurate either. So you really had to do some digging and follow quote unquote the breadcrumbs, read one article, which might take you to another article, which will take you to another article. And that's how you do the research. And imagine doing that for the 50s and 60s where there's about 24 or 25 groups in there. So it's just a lot of work, a lot of attention to detail, and a lot of fact checking.
Wow. And how long did it take you to do all of this when it comes to research and writing and putting everything together?
Yeah. The whole process took 4.5 years. The initial start was like June 2020, which is when I started grad school and started the research for my thesis. And then the book came out like February 2025. That's 4.5 years. And this includes like all the research, writing, rewriting, fact checking, recording the audiobook, finding the pictures. So the one thing that people don't realize is that the pictures, that took an extra 3 or 4 or 5 months to first find the pictures. I had to license them through Getty Images. Then when I went through the process, I realized there are about 19 photos that I wanted, but I didn't have the proper access to the proper collections. So I had to go back and renegotiate with Getty Images, get access to these 19 photos, which are great. I think there's one of the Gap Band that's there. There's one of 112 with Notorious B.I.G. and Little Kim that I had to add. And there's another one that I was really fighting to get. And one of the Destiny Child ones that I had to fight to get. And so I didn't have to fight, but I had to negotiate to get access to them. Because once you read the book, the pictures add a whole new element because you see, and it's rare footage. It's not the footage you can just Google and see. Like, this is rare footage that has been gated. So you could have a group that's in the 50s or 60s, but their photos in color, which is very rare. And so it just really brings things to life. And so I'm so proud that I took the time to find the photos, invest in the photos, because it really brings another element to the book.
Yeah, no, I did enjoy seeing the photos that you've chosen to put in of each of the groups that are there. And like you said, they are photos that you don't see on Google. Like, for example, like even like the photos of like Tony or, TLC, there were some photos in there that are not like common photos that you see all the time that like magazines and stuff have used. So it was really cool to see that in there. And another cool thing that I really like that I enjoyed are the playlists. There's some QR codes in there, and you have a playlist of like your favorite songs, but then you also have a playlist with the samples, which I love.
Yes.
So, how did you come up with that? Like, what is the reason? I know you have a DJ background, so I'm figuring
Yes.
that has
Yep.
something to do with it, but what were your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I was just thinking, what can I do to make the book just as immersive as possible? And if someone is not familiar with R&B, that this would be an easy way for them to follow along and listen to the groups, particularly the ones that I like, my favorite songs, and then also show the people, particularly young ones, the young readers, that a lot of this hip hop music that they love, that we love, came from and samples these R&B groups from decades prior. And so it was kind of twofold, just to educate people, so you can have experience as you're reading the book, but then also show like hip hop and R&B are very closely tied because the samples are coming from these groups, and it just made it a unique experience. I did the playlist on YouTube and Spotify, and I'm glad you picked up on it and you listened to it and you liked it, because that, again, like, I had to go through each group, pick the songs and the samples. I used the website Who Sampled, which I mentioned in the book, as a resource for the samples. And it's just so much more information that you can learn. You're like, wow, I didn't realize that they sampled this and this. Then you go back and listen to it, you're like, oh, I hear it. So yeah.
No, I really enjoy that because I find with like a lot of books that speak on like music and music history, I always got to stop reading and then I got to go and look up the song to listen to it to really understand what the person is saying. So
Mm-hmm.
just to have that there and that already ready was really cool aspect of the book that I liked. And then it also helped too because sometimes you were talking about like what the song means, and sometimes when you're listening to a song when you're really young, you don't really get the message that they're trying to say. So then I was able to like pull up the song and really listen to, the lyrics to really like feel what you were saying about the song and everything like that. So I really appreciated it.
Yeah.
It's great.
I'm glad you picked up on the QR codes. That makes me happy, and also the photos too. So yeah, you just warming my heart. I'm happy.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm hoping like more people do it. I know like in like the fiction world, Kennedy Ryan, she puts playlists to her books too, which is really cool. So you kind of get the mood of everything that was happening throughout the book. But I think really like for a book that's talking about music and the history, I think it's so important to have that there. So if this is a trend that catches on and stays forever, like I'd be so happy. I think that'd be cool.
Yes.
There's another thing that I read that I want to ask you about that you asked us to ask you about.
Okay. Okay. See, you got it. Go ahead. You found some of the Easter eggs. I got to ask you about a
Yeah.
couple other Easter eggs, but go ahead.
Yes. So one that I did find is you asked us if we run into you to ask you about Downtown by SWV. So I
Okay.
gotta hear what that
Okay.
story is about. Cause
Oh, yes, yes, great question. It kind of goes back to when you're younger, you don't really realize what the song is about. So
mhm,
I am not ashamed to, to admit when I first heard this song by SWV, I thought they were talking about going downtown, like a downtown to a city, the downtown part of the city. I very quickly realized after listening to the song many, many times on my lime green CD that they were talking about some other part of downtown, which is
yes.
on a female's lower region of her body, is what they were talking about. I mean, I have no shame. That's how I learned. So I was like, oh, okay. That's what I meant by that. That's good. Good catch.
I'm right there with you because I was singing like SWV, I was singing Silk, I was
Yeah.
singing Public Announcement, I was singing
Yeah.
all of these songs, and it's only when you get older, you're just like, "Well, damn, nobody stopped me from singing
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
songs."
They're probably laughing at you under their breath. But yes, exactly. Yeah, like good call. That's it.
No, that's funny, but it happens to so many of us that we just realize different songs. You even see it like on social media, like people will be listening to the song and they discover like this is not what I thought it was about, or I got the lyrics completely wrong.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
that that is funny. Um, Another thing you talk about too at the end of the book is um basically your thoughts on, I guess, the future of R&B groups, saying it's not looking too good out there for the R&B groups. But I want to know from that time of you writing the book to now, because we see like Netflix has the show Building the Band that's all about putting groups together. Then we have Flow, we had Silk Sonic for a quick minute, Chloe and Halle. There's One More, which is all of Wanya's children from Boys to Men. So do you now see any hope of seeing these things, or are you still at the same place?
So there's a little hope, but let me explain. Like we have Silk Sonic. So they were together for one album. Now they aren't making any more music because of creative differences. So that makes me sad. Because when we look at the heyday, TLC put out, I think it was like 5 or 6 like record breaking albums. SWV put out, I want to say four record breaking albums. In Vogue had like 3 or 4 albums. So I'm looking for more long-term success. We didn't realize how good we had it in the 90s with just the domination of like R&B groups, and they were on the main charts. So I'm really encouraged by like Flow. There's also a group, I think their name is Century with an S, I want to say.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're doing, but what I want to see, what I would hope that we can get them is get them on the Billboard Hot 100 charts. We want to be on the R&B charts and the Hot 100 charts because that's where we were before. We were dominating them. So that's what I'm looking for. So I'm slightly encouraged, but I want to get to that big level because Silk Sonic was able to do that. They were have #1 hits on the Billboard charts and everything, so it worked. That's where I want to get back to. And so I'm not sure we're gonna get there yet. It have to be like a perfect storm, for lack of a better word, to get there. It is possible, but when you think about all the groups we had that were on the charts at one time, that was like the golden era. I'm not sure we can get back there, but all it takes is one group and then another one. So let's continue to support the groups and see what we can do to get them there. But it's a long road ahead. I still feel that way.
No, definitely. I always have hope. I'm like the positive one. So I'm like, I feel like we're going in the right direction, but what do you feel that we need? Because like you said, we had Silk Sonic that was able to do it. So I feel like people got to see that there is a need for it because they've done so well, even though they've had good, like big brands on their own. What do you think maybe these groups that are coming up need in order to kind of make that crossover?
In terms of what they need, like I think like a flow needs like a really, really big feature or something in like a movie or TV show. Like if we use Lizzo, Lizzo blew up because she had a great feature on a Netflix show. That's how she first got big. So I think that in today's era, where streaming is more marketing than it is for sales, if we can get these groups to have a big feature in a major TV show, movie, also a commercial during the Super Bowl, that's one thing. I also think that if we can get artists, I think I mentioned this in the book, like a Leela James and a Her and a Jasmine Sullivan to join together. as a group for 2 or 3 albums, and then maybe they go back and do their solo thing. I think that's the formula currently that could work. I'm not sure if it would work or if it can happen because of creative differences, but if we're able to do that, kind of create these super groups. So it's kind of in reverse. Like you had Lionel Richie and the Commodores, then he went solo. Diana Ross and the Supremes, and Diana Ross went solo. You had, of course, the best example of all, the Jackson 5, and then Michael Jackson goes solo. So maybe we can reverse engineer it, do it in reverse. So we have these already established artists with these big audiences, and like a SZA, a Her, Jasmine Sullivan, they've had Billboard Hot 100 hits. Let's have them come together with an album, a song, and let's see if we can reverse engineer it and make that happen. And that would open up people's minds and eyes and give more support and credence to the other groups that are already putting the work in. That's what I think needs to happen, and I hope it does happen.
No, I think that would be really cool if they were able to do that. I know for like now a lot of people are just asking for tours with multiple artists on it. But if there was a super group, I think that would be really cool. So hopefully people are listening
Yeah.
and that's what
Yes.
starts to happen behind the scenes. I think that would be really, really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's make that happen. The more we talk about it, the more, because I think it was Jasmine Sullivan and Her. They did a duet before. I think they've done a duet before. So do a whole album. Let's do a whole album. So that's kind of the next step.
Yeah, no, that would be great. I think some like collaborations you do see that like oh it'd be great if they came out with like an EP or an LP later on with that too. And I even think about that with like Brandy and Monica, like now that they're doing the
They're
tour.
doing the tour.
Yeah, I
That's a
think
good
an
step.
album
Yes.
would be
Yes.
really great.
And
I-
then they're on tour. They have Money Long with them. Money Long's on tour with them, and Kelly Rowland's on tour with them. Okay, let's make a couple songs together because Money Long could write it. She's like out of this world in terms of singing, songwriting. Let's do it. Like Made for Me. I love her song about the 30s. That's a different topic for a different day. But yeah, like she can. Let's go. Like she is supremely talented too. So you got why not? Let's take a stop to each city, go to a studio, record a track. But that
yeah,
is a good sign. That tour is a good sign because you got Brandy, Monica, Money Long, Kelly Rowland. I don't know who else is on it. That's an R&B. That's good right there.
I think it's I can't remember his name, but he just won The Voice. Was it The Voice?
Okay, okay.
I
Yeah,
can't remember his
I
name
gotta
right
get
now.
tickets when they're coming to Vegas. I gotta get my tickets. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Um, when you're there, if you meet anyone, tell them to come down to Canada. We would
Okay.
appreciate a
Okay.
tour over here too. That I think that would be amazing. But yeah, that tour is something special. And then also to the tour with like Patti LaBelle, Shaka Khan, who else? Stephanie Mills, I think
Yeah.
was in it,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and Gladys Knight.
Yep. There you go. And Glass Knight's in the book. So she's in the book. So yes, yes.
Definitely. I think, like I said, a lot of people wanted these types of tours to happen and they're happening. So hopefully they go the next step and come out with these collaboration albums because I think that is a really good idea for the future and will bring back like that feeling that we're missing of R&B groups.
Yes, yeah.
Definitely.
I agree. Yeah.
And I wanted to get your thoughts on because I just went to the Essence Festival. And I love the Essence Festival. It's my second time going, and I just feel like it's a place where I can get so much like entertainment, but R&B, like good R&B entertainment. I feel like they're really good at preserving that culture and everything. But this year there was a lot of chatter, a lot of opinions about Essence Fest, basically trying to cater to a more younger audience and kind of losing their roots, I guess. I wanted to know if you had any thoughts on that, if they're going in the wrong direction, what you think they should do to kind of preserve that.
Yes. I heard a little chatter. I kind of stay away just because I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but I understand the feelings. I think there has to be a way to meet everyone in the middle.
Yeah.
Like you can kind of mix in some of the newer artists with the more I don't want to call them older, but more legacy artists, and just have a nice healthy balance, a nice healthy mix. I think that maybe if they put more intention with the acts they have, and maybe combining some of the younger acts with some of the more legacy acts that they aspire to be like, or that inspired them. That could be a good way of looking at it. And just kind of work with that and just make it bigger, because we have the legacy acts, but we need the younger acts to keep creating and keep creating music and keep performing. So we need to kind of maybe flip the way we put it together, and maybe embrace it, but still give definitely some stage time, places for the legacy acts to perform, so you can meet the needs of, because really the audience for Essence Fest is primarily older, the older generation with the money, so that you want to cater to them, but then you need to bring in the younger generation too. So there has to be a better way to kind of mix both. You can't go directly all young, you can't go all legacy. Um, I think there's some ways that they can combine both. Like, the younger audiences love like the festivals like the Coachellas and those type of festivals. I forget the name of the festival that's in LA, Camp Flognog. So things like that, they love. Essence, Essence Magazine has its roots. So cater to the roots and sprinkle in some of the younger acts. I think that would be a better way of doing it. Hopefully they take the ideas and are open to, making some adjustments for next year.
Yeah, I think they will because they have acknowledged a lot of the opinions that have been put out there. So I am hoping too that they're able to kind of merge the two because of course, this younger generation, they are going to get older at one point, and so
Right.
we need to welcome the artists from their era there as well. But I think I felt the concerts, were great. Like, of course, there was production issues, like, apart from that and being late and the stadium being freezing cold. The performers were actually really good, and then having somebody as, like, a Glorilla, who a lot of people were like, "I don't get why she's on the bill," but I thought it was fun having her there, and she was really happy to be there. And so I think they just need to figure out a way to better maybe integrate and maybe fix the billing so that the artists kind of match and it doesn't seem like there's just one artist coming out of nowhere,
Yeah.
like a whole
Yeah.
different generation.
Maybe talk to Glorilla and see, okay, who are the R&B groups that you love, that you inspired, and match them up with her so they can go back and forth. So she can tell the story. When I was younger, I used to always listen to this group, and I love these songs. So that kind of makes sense. And then, I go back to the Money Long example, like see who because she definitely mentions R&B groups that she wants to work with or has worked with in the past. Even if you get someone like a Jasmine Sullivan who sings, she's got an old soul. So she sings like the artist back in the day. You could match her with some other people like a Shaka Khan or whomever. Like, and then Luke James, phenomenal R&B singer. There's so many options you have there. So just kind of mix in some of these younger folks with the more established legacy artists, especially if they've been inspired by the artist. Then I think that's a natural fit in the storytelling, and the giving of flowers live in person is just natural.
Yeah, but speaking of that, Jill Scott, that's what she did with her set. She kind of did kind of like an ode to Philly. So she did have Patti LaBelle come out
Yes.
and sing a song, and then Jasmine Sullivan came out and
Mhm.
sung also a
Perfect.
song too, which was really
Yeah.
cool because that's different generations, right? Of Philly singers coming out and singing, which was really cool too. So yeah, I hope, and I also feel too like those are the places where we're supposed to get those performances that you're not going to get anywhere else. So to have those collaborations happen at Essence, I think makes it really good and makes it really worthwhile to get people to be like, "Oh, I want to go see the show," because we never know who's going to make like a guest appearance or who's going to, perform together.
Yeah, so props to Jill Scott. She kind of laid the foundation. So let's emulate what she did in the future.
Yeah, no, of course. I also want to talk to you about AI because it's like a big thing that's happening now. Especially, well, it's happening everywhere, but especially in the music industry, you're seeing, Timbaland, he has the AI artist. There was a lot of controversy around that because he was working with, you know, real artists and asking them to send in their music. And so people were confused with what is happening. There's AI songs that came out with The Weeknd and Drake. There was the AI that helped the Beatles song that actually won a Grammy. So there's so much talk about it. So how do you feel in general about AI in the music industry? Do you think it's going to be helpful or it's going to hurt?
It is a hot topic. I think first, AI is a tool to maybe research and to kind of prepare your lyrics and maybe your chords and stuff is fine. But I think that AI has never suffered heartbreak. They have never been broken up with. They have never been cheated on. They have never lost a family member suddenly. So they haven't had to feel the pain of loss or heartbreak. And I'm really kind of speaking directly to like R&B, like the passion, pain, and what is it? The power, passion, and pain. Like those are kind of the core elements of R&B songs. And AI has never felt that. And I don't think, maybe I'm naive, but I don't think that they can program AI to feel that. So therefore, when someone is singing a song and they're singing about something they experienced, it just translates differently. Their voice will crack at certain moments. They'll have a certain pause that's offbeat. They might go on a quick little ramble or something, spoken word ramble during the song. One of my favorite examples is for Money. I love talking about Money Long because when she has that song "Made for Me," she says, "Made for me," and then she says "twin." Like that's an ad lib. I don't think AI is going to be able to pull that off just as effectively as she makes it because even the little kid. I have a close friend, her son just knows. She says play the twin song, and so that's just little things like that. Um, and I don't think AI. And then when it comes to, we just been talking about this Essence Fest, the branding. When it comes to singing live in person, that's where you truly connect with an artist. And AI can't sit up there and read a crowd and know that if they're singing their hits, but the crowd is waiting for something else, they can't adjust on the fly. They're programmed. It just won't happen. So you can't teach AI to read an audience. And some of the best songs in history are all about the imperfections.
Yeah.
We go back to when Jimi Hendrix played the guitar. They thought it was blasphemous the way he played the guitar, but then all of a sudden he became legendary, and he was playing the guitar the quote unquote wrong way. Um, you'll have Whitney Houston singing songs. She hits a note that maybe is a little higher than it should be. Instead of going from the 1 to the 4, she goes to the 5 or the 6 unintentionally. You'll have singers like Shantae Moore who have a supremely strong and powerful whistle range. They might try to pull it off, but it won't come across as well, and it won't affect us as well as the way Shantae Moore does it. Even Mariah Carey, she used to have like a whistle range. Nowadays, it's probably a little limited. Same thing. So when you go back and you think about all the imperfections in songs that make a song go from great to legendary, I doubt that you can get AI to reproduce that and be able to reproduce that in a live environment.
Mm-hmm.
So AI is a problem because they're having these AI artists take away streaming numbers from real artists. So they're losing some money. Most artists don't make money off streaming. They're losing some money or some placement on playlists. But AI has never been through heartbreak. AI can never sing with imperfections. And AI just the feeling, the soul, that can't be duplicated. That's my long rant about AI.
But I agree with a lot of the points that you made because with AI, like you don't have that soul. Like it's not making you feel something. Even when you look at AI photos in the eyes, like there's no life. It's just
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
just staring at you straight. There's no life within it. So I feel like there's no life within the songs that are being created.
Yeah.
And same thing with live shows. Like I love live shows. I want to see Patty move her shoulders. I want to see Fantasia kick off her shoes. I want to see them, growl and get down to the ground. Like I want to see those things because those things give me goosebumps and make you feel something.
Exactly. Like if you think of legendary artist Phyllis Hyman, and you think if she's singing these songs, Old Friend, one of my favorite songs by her, you know, that song has so much meaning and so much depth to it. I just don't think AI can do it. And then she follows it up. I think it was after this when she talked about the song "Living All Alone." Like these songs are saying with real emotions and real feelings. Unfortunately, we lost Phyllis Hyman to suicide, but you knew what she was singing about because of how her life ended up. Like I'm not sure. Like AI can't really have you feel like, oh, I feel this. Like I'm just not buying it.
Yeah. No, I don't see it. I just feel like there's just so many emerging artists that need that support and that cosign to, really like take off. So I just feel like the focus should just be on
Yeah.
human artists
Yeah.
to continue creating music.
There's nothing like when you hear a song by a new artist and it causes you to get goosebumps and to reminisce or have a nostalgia. And we don't have to stay in R&B. We can look one of my favorite country songs by Sugarland, Stay. When you listen to that song and you watch that video, you're like, "Oh my gosh, this really happened to her." And I just don't think that can be duplicated.
Not at all. And that's another thing too, discovering that artist or seeing them perform that song on like their social media and stuff. Like I always talk about a singer by the name of Jay Howell from Memphis. And he has a song called My Everything. It's like I think a live version. But that song just as soon as I heard it, it just caught my attention and I had to have it on repeat. I had to Google, I had to figure out who he is. I had to follow him on social media to find out he has such a beautiful voice and he has great music that he puts out. But I don't think AI can replicate what he does.
No. As hard as they try, I mean, if you go back to, I've got to think of the proper award show, but it was when Luther Vandross was singing the Dionne Warwick song. Oh, I have to look it up.
House is
And
not home.
A House is Not a Home. You look at that live performance, the video, it's out there, and you tell me that an AI artist can duplicate that? No way. No way. And there was another example I was going to bring up, but there's no way. And I know I'm not trying to be naive or I'm not trying to be, get off my lawn, an old fogey, but it's just not there yet. Now, maybe it could come close, but then what you going to do when there's a live performance? You're going to put out a robot and have it sing? Like, no, you can see it. Luther in that video, he's sweating, he's singing, he's like, and he does his little upper range and stuff like, ooh, no, that's the example. When you could show me how AI could duplicate that, maybe I'll listen. But until then, and I just want to encourage artists out there to not be scared or not let the AI rush of all these fake artists distract you from your mission, which is to continue to put out good music with feeling that you love, because the real stuff will rise to the top, even if it takes your community to call it out or to, talk about how, well, do you want an AI artist? Do you want a real artist? And I think we as people, we want the real artist. So that's my message to artists.
No, definitely. And even you talking about like just concerts, already like a lot of newer artists are having trouble selling out, their concerts. I would say more so in the rap genre. You're seeing different tours getting canceled, unfortunately. So if they're having a hard time, I don't see how like an AI artist would be able to sell out those same locations if
I think, yeah, I don't mean to cut you off. I think where AI artists could impact real artists is in the streaming revenue stream and also synchronization, putting music
mm,
to movies, TV shows, commercials, video games. Like that's a cheap, easy, affordable way to have music in films. Now you will have music supervisors say, "I want a human artist, and we need more of that." So that's where, for real artists, they really have to focus on building relationships with music supervisors, building relationships with sync agents, so that they're their go-to. So they're like, okay, I want a human artist. I have these list of artists that can sing this song and make this song for this TV show or this movie. So we have to be aggressive and we have to be ahead of the game with that. You have to catch up now. So that's my other advice to artists, is that really I wouldn't worry about streaming numbers, because streaming numbers, really the top 1% gets most of that. Like, it's fine, it's more marketing, but build your relationships with your community so they show up for a tour. Build your relationships with these music supervisors and sync agents so that they are placing your music in these properties. That's the way you'll have long-standing success. And so that's kind of my mission. I was gonna say something else, I forgot, but yeah, that's kind of the first thing for artists. And just be about the business.
question about that because I always like to spread information to help artists grow because I focus a lot on emerging artists here on this podcast. And so you mentioned something that I think is super important, which is building your community as an artist. What are some things that artists can do to build a community?
Okay. I think the first thing you have to do as an artist, particularly a newer artist, is have less focus on your social media numbers. Like it's good to grow your YouTube subscribers. That's good because you can monetize that. It's okay to have like a lot of like TikTok followers and Instagram followers, but primarily you want to grow your email list because you don't want to build your platform on rented real estate. Because as we know, TikTok can go away tomorrow, Instagram can, Facebook can, MySpace did. TikTok went away for 12 or 13 hours. So you want to grow your email list. That's primarily first. Then, as you're going out to tour, you might have to start at the smaller venues, the nightclubs. Then you work your way up to like the performance halls, 3,000 cap, 5,000 cap, and maybe that's your sweet spot and you stay there. But if you can perform there and sell it out, that's going to help you kind of grow. Maybe then you might get to arenas after that. And then, only the bigger artists get to stadiums. But maybe if you are just in like lounges or nightclubs, but you can sell it out, that has power. And then you can work your way up to like instead of a 1,200 capacity nightclub or a 500 capacity nightclub, maybe you can work your way up to a 2 or 3,000 performing arts center. There's no shame in that, perform in those, sell that out, sell your merch, because short term artists make the most money from their touring and like their merch. In addition, as you're going out and turning, I always recommend to the artists I work with, you must create some sort of direct artist to fan platform where you're engaging with your fans directly. Take out the middle man or woman. For example, Patreon's very popular. You can use that. There's a newer service out called Even. Figure out what you can do so that people can subscribe to you, pay a subscription at a different level, get access to you, and you can get that money and go, because you're not making any money from streaming. So you got to go on tour, build your community. A lot of artists will add like a Discord so that people can kind of talk and build a community that way. Use these tools that are out there to grow your community. And then slowly but surely, if you keep selling out these 1,000 or 2,000 cap arenas, you'll get a festival placement and you'll grow from there. So that's the advice I would say, is let's focus on your social media, grow your email list, your website, and create a direct fan to artist platform that you can build your community around. And if you stick with it and follow, I like to share the Kevin Kelly's 1,000 True Fans. If you can get 1,000 people to spend $100 on your art a year, that's $100,000. If that can be your foundation, and then you can build on it from there, you'll have a successful career.
No, I love that. That's a lot of great information for artists to take in to really focus on, because I think a lot to get stressed out with social media a lot, because it could be a lot and there's so many different platforms. But if they stay focused in on their website, their newsletter, like creating that email list, different things like that, I think it would be better off and maybe a lot less stressful for them too.
Yes, just use like your Instagram as like just a place where you put stuff and then you just kind of let it be. YouTube has value. You have videos, shorts there, but really you want to drive people always back to your website and get their email address. Give away an acoustic version of a song. Give away maybe even a PDF of your top 7, music podcasts. Just stuff like that that people can feel connected with you, and grow that email list, and that'll take you much further than a million followers on Instagram will.
I love that. And also too, a lot of it sounds like what is his name? The rapper Larussell. What he does, I feel like he's really good at creating that community. So now he has so many people following him. I think he also was using like Even too at one
Mm.
point, and he does so much stuff. But I follow him and I love what he created for himself.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the way. Just because it's so noisy online, and it's getting even noisier. So what can you do to stay in touch, maintain that human touch? Because a lot of times people, automate all their things. They automate the responses on Instagram and TikTok and everything. But what can you do so that people know they're talking to a human? We talked about AI for a while. Like, no, you want to. One of my teachers and mentors, Rory and AJ Vaden, talk about the humanist. Humanist, that's what's kind of, emerging as needed with all this AI stuff. You want to talk to humans. So if you follow that kind of plan, I think you'll have success, and you have to be in it for the long haul because it could take longer than you expect.
That is true. A lot of people want things to happen immediately, but it doesn't. Doesn't work out like that. But yeah, that's really good. But then back to the book, because last time that I had you on the podcast, you said that you wanted to turn the book into like a documentary. So is that still something that you want to do? Is that in the works now? What's happening with that?
So we're making a little progress. I've kind of talked to a couple producers and directors, and they think it has some strong legs. So what I'm doing now is I'm in the middle of like a pitch deck and a pitch reel, and I just need to get one more like director on board, and then we will pitch as a team to the streamers, whether it be Apple Music, Amazon Prime, Netflix. Once we get one of them to say yes, and they give us a like a development budget, then we can start to interview people and really start to go to work. So that's the big project. Another side project is I'm working on turning the book, creating a trivia game out of the book too. That's kind of another one too. It's like you have your cards, there are questions, you kind of do some things, make it fun. I've had like 12 or 15 people unsolicited say, you need to make a trivia game out of this book. So it's coming. So we're working on that too.
Okay, so I'm excited for that because I was telling you I missed the game shows that you had on
Yeah.
Twitch
Yes.
for the trivia and stuff like that. So if you come up with a game, I'll be so excited. I'm definitely gonna have to get that as well
Yeah.
because I love music trivia games. So that's
Hmm.
super exciting. And then also too, just to see how this documentary unfolds. So I hope that you keep us up to date and you take us behind the scenes to see how everything gets done. And then of course I'll be there to support whenever it
Yeah.
comes out whatever
Thank you.
platform. If I gotta sign up to something new, I'll definitely have to do
Thank you.
that to check it out.
Yes. Yes. I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, of course. Is there anything else you wanna mention about the book? Anything that you want people to take away? Or maybe another, like, Easter egg that I didn't come across just yet?
Okay. Okay. Since you missed the Easter eggs, I have one for the book, and then I have one for like all the people who are in the music business or musicians that you work with or could listen. So for the book, did you notice the Easter egg at the beginning of each different decade? Did you notice? So if you have your book with you, look at the beginning of the 1950s, and there it is. Tell me what color the headphones are when on that page at the beginning of the 1950s when I review what's going on in the world in that decade.
Okay. So here
Okay. Now fast forward to the 70s. The 70s, the beginning of the 70s.
wait, no, I'm in the 60s.
Take your time. Take your time.
Let me see if I can find it. Oh, no, I'm at the 80s. I jumped too far.
That happens. That happens.
Ooh,
Okay.
wow. Okay, so I did not even notice that.
Okay. Okay. And then you can go to the 80s and the 90s because by that time it changes one more time. So the colors of the headphones change throughout the book.
That is so cool. I did not notice that. So they're orange now.
Yes, yes, and that's the color they are for the rest of the book.
Okay. What was the reason behind doing that?
Just something fun, like back in the 50s, pretty much everything was in black and white. The 60s too. Then the 70s was like the Technicolor era or whatever. So you have a Technicolor, and then the 80s. At that time, I was born, I was around, so my favorite color is orange. So you just kind of keep it through. So just something subtle that I don't think anyone people catch up on. That's another Easter egg there. So I'll share that with you.
I love
Um, yeah, and then okay. So my message for if there's anyone out there, particularly if you are two people, if you are a working professional, you have a 9 to 5 job, but you have music that you do on the side, and you're looking to take that to the next level, then you can just go to like my website, amaniexperience.com/call, and let's talk about it. I have a couple people I work with now. One is a Grammy nominated artist. She's also an aerospace engineer, and we're working with her to do that. Another person owns a law firm and has a band. I'm helping him kind of monetize his music more and take it to the next level. That's my sweet spot. That's who I work with, and I love to kind of talk to people like that. If you're in the audience and want to have a conversation, and then for the book, just check the book out on any platform you get your books, or you can go to quietstormbook.com and order it that way.
Definitely. I hope more people order the book because it's so good. I'm still going through it on and off, just going back, rereading some stuff, also learning about different things that I didn't even know about, like what is it, the telecommunications.
Yes, Telecommunications Act of '96. Yes.
Yeah, like I had no clue about that was happening. Of course, here in Canada, we have like the CRTC, so it's really interesting. So I've been reading that, but like also Googling just to get, more information and understand certain things. So yeah, it has so much information. It's
It
so good.
does. Yes, yes. I appreciate it. Thank you for the love and the support. I can come back whenever you want to keep talking about the book. You just let me know because you were one of the OGs who embraced it from the beginning, and I just appreciate the support.
Yeah, no, of course. Like I said, I discovered you on Twitch during the pandemic, and I was always, tapped into the shows, or if you were just on playing, music because you love that slow jam R&B, and so do I. So yeah, and I've been following you ever since. And you guys, he gives so much information on his social media pages about the music industry. So definitely follow, and definitely follow on his website too for that call to consult with him and just learn so much about the industry if you're an artist that's trying to grow your career, because I think Amani has so much information to give. So yeah, definitely tap in. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Give us your social medias as well as your website one more time.
Okay, social media, it's at Amani Experience. A like Apple, M like Mary, A like Apple, N like Nancy, I, the word experience. That's on like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all that. LinkedIn is just Amani Roberts. I spend most of my time on LinkedIn. And the website is amaniexperience.com. You can add a backslash and call if you want to talk to me. So amaniexperience.com backslash CALL. And that's where I live. Grab a copy and join the newsletter and just keep in touch.
Definitely. Thank you again. And for everybody that is listening or watching, this is the Total R&B Podcast. My name is Loreena. You can find us on social media on Instagram and TikTok at total.rnb. And I will be back with a brand new episode.